What's up guys, 2xDigital here, and these are the patch notes for patch 4.1 aka season 4. These patch notes are massive. I'm gonna try to go through them as quickly as humanly possible while still giving you the accurate information and stuff and my thoughts, especially on the balance changes. We're gonna go over the rest really quick. The patch notes on stream were over 3 hours. I'm hoping to get around 1. You will see by the number at the bottom if I actually achieve that. New visual update for Vamana. Completely overhauled. Looks like that avatar guy. Really cool. Looks really good. Redone masteries as well. Really, really cool. Redone recolor. Everything. Really nice. There's the mastery as well. There we go. Vamana done. Skadi gets a Doge skin with memes. Even in the ultimate, you will see memes flying up. I usually don't like this, like, pink style of skins, but in this case, I gotta say, well memed Hyras. Nice job. Really cool skin. Nemesis gets a more, like, present time skin, I guess. It's decent, I would say. Yeah, it's in the season ticket. Xingtian, this is the skin for completing at least or reaching gold in ranked this season, season 3. Really cool skin. Animations are sadly still in the original color. I hope they change that to match that color. We'll see. Our Kwang gets his energy skin. This is not the World Championship skin. This is just a regular energy corporation, basically, skin, organization skin. Looks pretty cool in game though, without the shoulder pads and him looking buff instead. Nice skin, decent skin for tier 2. Nikki gets some masteries. Wings are colored in blue for the golden and the diamond one, whereas the legendary has black wings, which I think look really cool. Uller gets his mastery recolor rework. You don't see much of a difference because it's literally just his face, but they look better as well. Vulcan gets this amazing new soldier skin, which has, like an actual, what you call that, like, actual fucking turret with like a gun that stands, I don't know weapon things. A gun that stands in the ground, it gets, like, ammo flying out of the back, like shells flying out of the back while shooting, which looks really cool, and like a nuke as his ultimate. Really, really cool skin. One of my favorites in the season ticket. In the random chest, along with a bunch of recolored older skins, which we'll go over now real quick. But I think this is a really cool skin. Recolored skin, Try of Agni number 2. We got Uller Wormslayer in green. We've got Bellona Torment in pink. Doesn't look quite as drastic in game. We've got Jurassic Camazots in green. And we've got Medusa in, I don't even know, gold blue instead of green white. Let's go. And quick voice pack check here. They might be very loud. I'm warning you real quick. Just gonna do them really quick.
So strong, Skadi-chan.
You got this, Doge.
So the Doge talks as well in various voice lines.
Die, vermin!
Okay, calm down.
It is not illegal to stab idiots where I am from.
That's the voice packs. Vulcan has one as well, obviously.
Take cover!
And that should be it. That's the skins done. Yeah, that was really quick. Nice. We got the new cutesy Doge avatar. We've got a Vulcan dance emote. We have global emotes for mastery. So if you get like a certain amount of diamond guards, then you will get global emotes. We don't know the numbers yet, but you get a backing emote, I think it is. I don't know why it's called global emote, but it's a backing emote that looks different. And a season ticket emote, apparently. We got loading frames for Iron Tyrant. Oh, that's season loading frames for Diamond Conquest, Masters, and Platinum. Yeah, and all the other rank modes as well, obviously. I don't know why this doesn't show Duel, but they said Duel gets that as well. Season ticket loading frame, obviously, with a new season ticket. There's the recall, so Diamond Master recall. So maybe there's the difference between the emotes. Again, that depends on how many guards you have on Diamond Mastery. Energy watts, along with the bundle with the Kwang skin. Achievements for the Morrigan. I'm not going to go over them because we got to be quick. And with that, we go into the client update. The T-screen is back. It is different. It doesn't have the graphs anymore with the gold and damage dealt. Rather, it's like a mini combat log with like your last instance of damage you dealt and the last instance of damage you took. And like the top damage and blah, blah, blah being back. Shit that no one should actually care about. Then you get, if you get more than 2,000 masteries, 2,000 worshippers on a guard, you get like a star next to your mastery. The more worshippers past that, the more stars. So if you have like 10,000 worshippers on a guard, then you get like, a lot of stars, and it also means you're wasting your time because you're only playing like a tiny fraction of the game. Just kidding. And the Diamond Mastery reward here, that's once again the same thing we had up there. Ranked rewards also already shown, the Xingtian and the frames. I don't know why once again Duel is not here, but they said Duel should be in there as well. Ranked gets an update. MMR hard reset. We already know that, so that's really nice. You can be placed in qualifying like wherever basically. You can end up in diamond if you're really good from the start, not in gold. You don't have to grind up. So things are going to be very different. They're going to be 3 splits with soft resets in between and different rewards for the splits. There are no more promotion games, so if you reach 100 points, you just get straight into the next division. And I guess that means you drop down easier as well. So, or you need to reach 101 points exactly. Sorry, you will apparently still not get demoted immediately, despite of no longer. If it was a constant flow, you actually not should be able to get demoted as well right away. But I guess it's just a one-way thing so far. Lobby timers are changed so that you have some sort of buffer pool time for picking if your team doesn't communicate or something. I don't know if that's so good, but hey, I felt like the thing was long enough, whatever. Ranked pause, you can pause once during a ranked game, 60 seconds, that's it. But it's, nice if you have a DC and you think it's coming back. There are leaderboards for Grandmasters, and Masters is back, by the way, so Grandmasters have their leaderboard, top 25 players now, and there is leaderboards for individual guards as well, so if you're really good on a guard, you will get on a leaderboard as well. There are some rewards, apparently, for those which are not listed here. Maybe they're here. No, ranked rewards here. Each split there will be a reward, blah, 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 blah. Qualifying will earn you bonus chest roll, so if you do the qualifying, apparently, you place somewhere, you get a bonus chest roll. Winning 25 games will give you a special recall effect, and then you will be able to get 3,500 gems if you're in the top 5 players. Then down to the top 20, you get 2,500, and the last 25 get 1,500 gems. Not so relevant because it's around the whole world, so it's not going to affect too many people. There will also be guard leaderboards, and you have to be if you're really high up there in the first top 3, you can get some gems as well. There is something called intelligent matchmaking. We will see if it's actually intelligent, because if you have very few people in your region queuing up at that time, you'll be matched into another region. So if you're playing OCE, you may be matched into the Asian servers and stuff like that. I think this is a problem because it's going to create language barriers and stuff like that. And there are rumors about a voice chat coming into the game soon, a mandatory voice chat, basically. If that happens, this is going to be very irritating. But, well, it may help some regions where you hardly ever find a match otherwise. And, well, we'll see how they deal with the lag. And now we're getting to the season ticket. We got just for purchasing the ticket, you get that Nemesis skin that I showed you before. You can vote on games for FP, so you get more FP. You get a permanent FP booster, and you get a 15 team. You get 15 team worshipper boosters, which means that in a lobby you can activate one of these boosters, and all of your teammates are gonna get double worshippers, and they're not even double worshippers in a traditional sense, but double the worshippers of what they would have gotten. So if they have a booster active, or it's a weekend where you get bonus, you can double the double worshippers or the triple worshippers. It's just multiplied times 2. Not added on top like usual, but it's actually multiplied. And that means you can get a huge amount of worshippers in a very short amount of time. Easily grind masteries that way if you want to. And that of those you get 15 for getting the season ticket, so people will have quite a few. And then you get the quests that will give you FP. And through FP unlocks you can get a cutesy chest, which says free to all players, Enigma chest roll, and the Spring Recall, and the Season Ticket, and the Enigma chest roll, Undying chest roll, cutest or cutesy global emote, Never Cake Announcer Pack, Enigma chest roll, and Swarm Sentry Amusen Cup, which looks pretty cool. And in the Undying chest, you will find the recolor skin thingies and Full Metal Vulcan. Clash gets a major map update, which is now Egyptian themed. It is with completely new structures: Titans, Mountains, Minions, Phoenixes, everything's changed. A middle area with a new boss, Apophis is what he's called. Spawns at 10 minutes in, deals huge amounts of damage when he spawns because he comes out of the ground. It works a little bit like the Fire Giant in his mechanics, I would say, or like the Bold Demon maybe. And then he gets, gives I think he gives a buff, yeah. Gives a buff that becomes stronger the longer the game goes, and that gives you power for your team. And enemy guards hit by your abilities take damage equal to a fraction of their maximum health over 4 seconds. So it's basically a mini-kin size as well. So that's pretty strong, and that's pretty interesting, and the design looks really, really cool. It looks a lot like Domination back in the days. Gameplay changes, new jungle camps, new characters for red buff and blue buff followers, like I said. There's another blue buff, there are no longer harpies. There's also a passage from where the harpies were up to the mid camp, basically. And phoenixes now have a laser instead of, because they're sphinxes, so they have laser eyes instead of, or laser mouth instead of the fireballs, and it's consistent damage that increases over time. And there are kill bounty bonuses, of whatever that may be, some extra XP, whatever. Conquest map update also gets an update. Let me quickly drink something because this is a lot. Alright, so jungle has gotten some small changes for the visuality of how to see camps from mid lane. You cannot necessarily see people doing stuff from the mid lane anymore. There are various new camps. And here, both the Order Speed Camp and Chaos Damage Camp see a change to their geometry and leash to shift the time it takes to reach mid lane. So this should make it more even to come into mid lane because of how they are changed. I'm not sure if you can see that all too well here, but yeah. There are various new things. I'm not sure if it's listed down here. Yes. Game starts at minus 130, so you've got 1.5 minutes. Minions start at 0. The entire jungle starts at 30 seconds. Meaning, when the minions clash in the lanes, the jungle will spawn. Which either means you go somewhere with your jungler, clear a lane, and then go somewhere together. Or your jungler goes somewhere on his own, and you basically are split up from the start. And somebody starts in lane, somebody starts in the jungle. Or you're going to be late for your wave, which you don't want to. And this also goes for like contesting mid-camps and stuff, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Everything spawned at the same time. There are kill bounty changes. For experience, you get additional 10% XP based on the level difference. So that's pretty nice. Minions and jungle changes. Basically, the minions all get an XP and decrease. So Swordsman now 60 instead of 65. Archer 40 instead of 45, and Brute 60 instead of 65. This means that junglers get pushed because all the jungle camps get extra XP. The boss are removed from the map. We have a new buff camp instead. We'll get into that in a second. I'm not going to go through all these values here. You can just pause the video and read them here because it's just going to be too much of a time waster. But if you just look at the first values from the harpy here, the XP from 30 to 45 and the gold value like more than doubled, you will realize that the values are changed quite drastically. Whereas, for example, the Elder Harpy here gets a significant decrease in terms of XP. So overall, the jungle is supposed to give more XP and gold. We will see if that actually ends up being the case. I'm not so sure yet, but there are other things that factor in here as well, which will push junglers more into the jungle and laners more into their lanes. There is a new Cyclops Rogue buff. This new jungle buff is one that should be aggressive, should be suitable for any class to pick up. The protection reduction aura buff. Protection reduction aura buff serves the purpose is quite well, favoring early game aggression, meaning you get a range debuff 55 units, which reduce magical and physical protections by 10. Usually, probably something that will be either picked up by the hunter or the support simply because it's in their area. More helpful for the support in terms of if he rotates out. More helpful for the jungler, for the ADC if he's on his own. The jungler will still get the speed buff. The mid laner will probably still get the damage buff, and the solo laner will get the blue buff. That's simply due to the positioning of these buff camps. I'm in the dev commentary section. Fill me in, please. Like I said, a lot of changed values here. We will not go through all of them. You can pause here if you want to. Oracle Harpies. I will just make this real quick. There are 2 Oracle Harpies near the Gold Fury. If you kill these, you spawn an invincible ward that will give you vision of the Gold Fury. And yeah, that's about it for that. The Portal Demon, on the other hand, is on the other side of the map. You may have heard about this. He is a big elemental, spots in 10 minutes. If he gets killed, he has about like Gold Fury health. Then he spawns a portal next to the Fire Giant and in your base. So you can portal from your base to the Fire Giant, similar to the Siege map, basically. And that way have a new way of contesting if you're not able to kill the Fire Giant right away. Pretty good. And the Gold Fury does get some changes in terms of the starting gold, so they want to push early Gold Furies once again by giving it a higher early value and lower early health stats and such. The base values for the Fire Giant are also decreased, so an early Fire Giant will be much easier, but it scales much higher later into the game. So you want to finish your games fast, and everything in this indicates this as well. We're getting to the consumables. Quick breath. Consumables now have rituals. Rituals are something I mentioned in a past video, which is something that you can buy late game for 750 gold, which is basically the same as a relic, but it takes a consumable slot and it can only be used once, then it's used up and it's gone. There are quite a few of them. They are very strong. Flickering is a ritual that will give you a blink, but it's possible to use that in combat, so it's basically a combat blink. That's all there is to it. Frenzied is a buffed version of Frenzy. It increases all your allies' damage output within 55 units by 25%, gives them 20% attack speed, and both of that for 10 seconds. So that's very scary in a late game team fight. Rallying is a teleport to guards. It allows you to teleport to one of your allies of your choice. After a 4-second channel, if you get interrupted, the relic is completely useless. Reveal reveals all enemy guards on the map for 5 seconds. And wards within 70 units of the users. So you even see the wards on top of that. But you have to be quick to kill those. Chalices. Those are basically refilling potions or wards. They cost 300 gold each. And apparently, from what I can tell, they stack like potions. Duration is refreshed, not stacked on multiple users. You can just use one per use, but I feel like you might be able to use it with a pot at the same time. And the stacks of this item are refilled when you return to base. They don't give any gold when you sell them later, so you want to make sure that you really want that item. So Chalice of Healing is probably the beginner version here. If you really want to have a lot of pots throughout the game. You have 3 the moment you leave base, and it's a 250 health pot. Mana pots, I don't think many people will pick this up. I could see it maybe on Sobek or something, because like the early gold is some things are cheaper early on, but not too many gods will make use of this. I think because it just gives mana and has 3 stacks as well. There is no multi-pot version, but what is there is a ward. Chalice of the Oracle gives you 2 wards apparently. Max stack says 2, so I guess it's 2 wards. And that I think will basically be mandatory for everyone, or almost everyone, because so many free wards that way. More than, like, you're gonna place more than 6 wards if you're decent. So that's gonna be pretty much mandatory if you're almost everyone. Updated consumables. Potion of Magical Might has an increased duration from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. Same for Physical Might. Relic updates. Relics completely overhauled. Now you get a free version at level 1 and level 12 as before, but you also get a 500 gold upgrade to that, and apparently it's going to be reorganized, so it's a bit more structured. Frenzy is now removed. We have that new the consumable. Scout is removed as well, like I expected basically. And there is now Aegis Amulet, formerly known as Sanctuary, formerly known as Aegis or Aegis. This has a 160-second cooldown, can be upgraded to a 130-second cooldown, so you'll see that a little more often. Blink Rune has a 120-second cooldown, can be upgraded to a 90-second cooldown, so aggressive blinks are definitely back, for sure. Cursed Ankh, this is now, well, this used to be Curse. It is an anti-heal item now, no longer slows. Duration is increased to 10 seconds, and the healing reduction increases from 65. What? Increases from 65, and duration increases from 15 seconds. This is the upgrade, yeah. So instead of 50% reduction, you get 65, and the healing reduction lasts for 15 seconds, which means that out of combat healing is not going to be a thing anymore. We'll see later down the road that out of combat healing is really not a thing anymore. In combat healing is what we'll see now. End of the Gods. We'll see if that actually works out. It does no longer work on bosses. It only works on jungle minions now. Otherwise, still the same effect here. No stun on the basic relic anymore. Deals 300 plus 10 damage per level. But the cooldown is decreased by 30 seconds if you kill a jungle mob, if you use it as an execute. So if you use this effectively, then you will be able to use it quite often. If like fast jungle queue is gonna be really required, then this item might be good. Like maybe on Nemesis or something, it could still be decent here now. And if it's upgraded, you still get the stun. Heavenly Wings, formerly known as Sprint, now cleanses slows instead. I think it's still give the movement speed. I think it's just not in the description because it wasn't changed. And if it's upgraded, then we get Season 1 Sprint, which basically means that when you sprint, you don't get a basic attack slow penalty. So it's Haste and Fatalis in a nutshell. And this is for all the allies as well. So this is something that we'll be often seeing on Hunters. Magic Shell, now previously known as Shell, now has 30 base protection instead of 45 and 5% mitigation instead of 15. If you upgrade it, you get the old 45 and you get 10% mitigation. Shell was way too strong for Hyris, so they said they want to nerf it hard. So even if you upgrade now, it's not as strong as it was before. Meditation stays the same. It's now called Meditation Cloak. With the upgrade, however, you get 45 MP5 and 15 HP5 for 30 seconds. Not that crazy, but nice bonus, you know what I'm saying. If you do the math here, it's not a ridiculous amount of feeling that you get out of it, but maybe if you need a lot of mana, maybe. Who knows? I wouldn't upgrade it that all too often. Phantom Whale, previously known as Phantom, now no new visual effects, so you're going to know that you have it. Basic attack slow immunity, so Haste and Fatalis is removed from this, it's now on Sprint. Instead, a 40% CC reduction and immunity to knockups to allies affected by it. Immunity to knockups is crucial here. You can counter a lot of guards with this, and CC reduction is obviously really nice as well. Makes maybe some other items a little bit void, but overall very good. And the duration can be upgraded from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. So this is huge in a team fight. You can just proc this in a team fight, and no one's going to get knocked up, and CC is nearly halved, so that's pretty huge. Purification beats not really known as Purification can be upgraded, and then the cooldown goes down from 160 to 130. Same as with Aegis. I'm not too happy about this. I think Relic should be a longer cooldown, but everything has a short cooldown now, so hey, who cares? Shield of Thorns, probably known as Thorns, now gets 50% reflect instead of 40. Still doesn't stop lifestealing, I think. Can be upgraded, increased duration from 5 seconds to 8 seconds, and the cooldown decreases from 120 to 100 seconds. Still don't see much of a use for this, but hey. Sunder Spear is, Sundering Spear, sorry, from known as Sunder. I will keep calling this Sunder, I think. Now, does no longer give protection and attack speed debuffs, but instead just increases damage taken by the target by 30% for 5 seconds. It can be upgraded, which increases the base damage of it from 40 plus 14 to 60 plus 20, and the cooldown decreases from 120 to 100 seconds. It's alright, I guess. Teleport Glyph, formerly known as Teleport, now has 200 seconds cooldown instead of 180, and it can be upgraded, so it's 160 seconds cooldown, but there are other items that may actually be better than Teleport now. Horrific Emblem. This is a new relic, and it is formerly known as Enfeebling Curse in Season 1. It slows enemies now by 40% and reduces the attack speed by 25%. Lasts for 5 seconds. With the upgrade, it decreases the cooldown to 120 seconds from 150. Bracer of Undoing. Really crazy thing. Has a bit of the old Beats effect from Season 1, along with something else. I'm not quite sure how this will work yet. I cannot answer any questions about that because it's still a little weird. Using this item subtracts 3 seconds from all abilities currently on cooldown and restores 50% health and mana lost within the last 3 seconds. Cooldown 120 seconds. So if you get bursted, you want to pop it after, I guess, and then you get your cooldowns reset and you get your health back. So use this after a Kraken or stuff like that, and you'll be fine. And if you upgrade, it's even 5 seconds, which I feel like is really, really strong, and you can really combo this really hard. You can just drop your kit into an enemy, soak up their damage, use this stuff, drop your kit into the enemy again. And one guard that I'd like to point out here is Habwa, who can basically double spam his one with this and some other items that we get to later. So that's pretty funny and pretty painful. Season 4 item update. There are a ridiculous amount of items. You can start the store by crowd control reduction. And penetration now goes across magical and physical. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, The items just have penetration. There should be a change to lifesteal actually. I'm not sure if it's coming later but it's somehow lacking here. If it's not in the patch notes, then I hope we hear about this at a later point, or it was removed. Bluestone Pendant gets the base mana reduced by 50, but it gets 5 MP5, which is a lot more value when you think about it. And this may bring Bluestone Pendant maybe even back on the Hunter role. It used to have a place there back in the days, and MP5 was a crucial factor in that as well. With that coming back, we will see maybe some ability-based hunters picking up again, so that could be interesting. Bumba's Mask, very strong. Oh, and by the way, all of them should have a price decrease down to 500 as far as I know. It's not shown for all, but I'm pretty sure all are starting at 500 now. Bumba's Mask is seeing the changes that may put junglers into the jungle, probably. And what we'll see here is the MP5 is removed. It has now 50 health and 50 mana on the item, straight up. True basic damage against jungle camps is increased from 10 to 15 per basic attack. Then ability bonus damage increased from 10% to 15%. The gold sharing bonus is removed. So sharing camps just became a lot less efficient. Get used to it. And instead, you get 4 gold and 25 mana bonus per jungle camp kill, which will basically keep up your mana that way. If you conserve your mana well, if you use 1 ability per camp, you're going to be fine, and you're going to get a lot of extra gold, because you no longer have MP5. Keep that in mind. Death Toll. Death Toll gets a physical power decrease by 5, gets 10 extra health. It gets a much higher heal, actually. It's got 8 health per hit instead of 6, which is a lot. Especially for certain characters with that AoE swings, it's a decent increase in healing. And 3 mana instead of 2. So Death Toll, much more of a sustain item in lane now than it was before. And while we're talking about Bumba's Mask, there is also Rang Das Mask now, a Balinese item, which I really like. Balinese mythology. It gives plus 5 MP5. That's all it gives from the start. But every time you gain an assist, you get a stack. If you get a kill, you get 2. At 8 stacks, this item provides 7% movement speed and 10% cooldown reduction. At 16 stacks, this item provides 15 penetration, 10% movement speed, 15% cooldown reduction. A ridiculous amount of stats if you get to 16 stacks. The problem is, Bumba's Mask is pretty much necessary, so you have to kind of consider if you buy both. It is an item that has not the highest value late game, because it doesn't have any power, for example. It doesn't have enough movement speed to warrant a full movement speed item on its own. So there's a bit of an awkward situation for this item. You really want to build this item if you're snowballing hard. That's when it works best. And you want to see, I would say this is something you might want to get after boots and, for example, like something like Jotuns, not necessarily Jones, because then those stats are sufficient to benefit you, but it's not enough. It's not a major setback anymore. Problem is, if the game goes on, flat penetration loses value because it's not that good later in the game, and you need 16 stacks to reach it, so you kind of want it early at the same time, so it's a bit awkward. You really, really have to snowball for it to be really good, and that's, Sands of Time. This starter item is a hybrid utility item that could be utilized by many mages and some guardians. While Soulstone is for pure damage and Vampiric Shroud is for health, sustain, Sands of Time is for mana and cooldown, a starting stat gap that existed for support and hybrid mages. So 800 gold. I'm not sure if this is actually 800 gold. If it's going to go down to 500, or is it actually supposed to be 800. 20 magical power, plus 5 MP5, plus 10% cooldown reduction. This item grants 1 additional MP5 per 10% of your missing mana. It's not a crazy amount of MP5, but it has some base MP5, so MP5 is going to be alright. You have your mana. You have some power a little bit, but primarily this is like a cooldown reduction focused thing. And I'm not quite sure who's going to make use of this. Honestly, most mages don't really do that much with cooldown reduction early on. Maybe, I'm not sure. Once again, I'm not sure if they're actually supposed to be 800, if some of the starters stay 800 and others are 500, or if it's just not adjusted yet. But if these are 500, I could see them as a secondary starter, which I doubt, though. If it's 800, then weird thing. But maybe somebody finds out what to do with it. Soulstone changed a little bit. Now, if you use, if you have 5 stacks and use an ability, you get the bonus power for 3 seconds. So for your whole kit, you can really burst an enemy at that time. And you get a flat mana value back when you use them instead of having MP5 on the item. Swift Wing is really interesting, and this is what I think may be replacing Teleport. Once again, 800 gold apparently. So once again, I don't know how this stuff with the gold is going to work out. Because even here, Ranger's Mask here costs 500 gold, and down here it's again, and it has 800 gold as a cost. 100 health, 10 HP 5% movement speed. And so this is like sustaining health stats and a little bit of movement speed, interestingly enough. Whenever you leave Fountain, you gain 40% bonus movement speed for 15 seconds. So this is something you could put on your solo laner. You will not be able to play as aggressive and all that. This is like a sustaining solo laner, maybe like a Nika or something like that. Somebody who just like hangs back, farms a little bit, and then goes aggressive. And, or Amaterasu too. And you can just get back from base with a lot of extra movement speed on top of your normal movement speed. So that could work. Vamp Shroud gets an extra 4% magical lifesteal. Once again, I don't know if they really changed it the way they were planning on. Again, this is ranked as masked for the second time with really different stats. I'm pretty sure this is just not supposed to be ranked as mask. I think they just put the wrong item here. It's supposed to be a warrior item. Costs 800 gold, 10 physical power, 100 health, 5 MP5. And now, this is supposed to be an aggressive warrior support item. So, the passive is very interesting. Being in the range of minion or jungle camp, death without dealing the killing blow restores 5 health and 5 mana to allies within 55 units. Also provides you with a stacking self buff of 1% movement speed and 1% attack speed that lasts 3 seconds. Odd buffs, because like 1% is, in my opinion, not a lot. And if you compare it to the new stats of Watchers, it's just very little. 10 physical power, okay, I guess. Has some MP5, okay, I guess. So maybe if you want to spam your abilities a lot, you want to get the mana for that, then maybe that's the reason, question mark. But can't really see it being picked over Watcher's Gift, but well, it exists. Watcher's Gift gets some more buffs. It gets 5 magical and physical protection. Remember, effective health. So this is a very good item to start off with now and not take as much damage. HP 5 is removed and returned. And the health restoration is increased from 7 to 12 per minion that is killed. And the mana from 7 to 10. So massive buff there, in my opinion, for the wave sustain in combination with the defense that you get anyway. So I'm not quite sure if, like, this is devaluing Vanguard a bit, in my opinion. But oh well. Maybe if you trade outside of the wave a lot, then it may help. And the passive is increased from 4 to 5 gold per assist. So, you know, you kind of want to have that. Magical tree. And once again, there's this. They said something about the magical lifesteal doing like no longer doing the 33% like being reduced that way. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to be that way here. So maybe just they scrap that. Tiny trinket, mana price changes, -5 power, and magical lifesteal increased by 6. Trinket gets some adjustments as well. I'm just gonna go for the final stages of the item here though. Polynomicon gets 2% increased lifesteal, nothing major. Divine Ruin, new tree. Pythagorum's Priest is freaking crazy. If you don't build this item now, you're doing something wrong. I would say this is now probably, if it stays this way, the best item that we currently have for mages. It has a 100 price increase. It builds from Enchantment Trinket, and it adds 200 mana. And also, it has a new aura. The new aura is 50% magical lifesteal and 30 magical power. And for physicals around you, it's 10% magic, physical lifesteal and 20 physical power. So everyone around you gets buffed, and this item has great stats on its own as well. So I don't even know why there's any reason not to build it. It has good power stats and stuff outside of it in cooldown reaction, and everything is in this item. Buy this item. Please buy this item. If you're in my team and you're buying this item, then you're fucking me over if I'm not a mage. Talon Trinket, made a price change. Bankrupt Talon loses 10% lifesteal, 2% lifesteal. Also, passive also adds up to 15% bonus lifesteal scaling from missing health. So you get more lifesteal as you lose more health, making it a little bit better as well. But not even close to what Pythag is now. Pythag is a beast. Book of the Dead, a new item with a total price of 3,000, 1,600 upgrade. 100 magical power, 15% magical lifesteal, 200 health, and a passive. If you deal damage to an enemy and you're already at max health, you gain a health shield. This shield caps at 20% of your current HP. And last, I don't know, I think it doesn't actually have a duration as far as I know. But oh well. This is pretty damn strong because basically you can have 120% health on a mage by lifestealing past the point of your maximum health. That's really, really nice. Just saying. Especially for gods that make some benefit out of it. I could even see this on friggin' Freya, I don't know. Especially because you have health on top of that, so you're gonna be a lot more tanky. Combine that with like a Warlock Sash and you'll have so much health on a mage. Magical Penetration. Some price adjustments, once again, magic focus a little cheaper. Just overall balancing out the cost. Obsidian Shard gets a decent price increase. Don't really think that's good. I think they should just adjust the other pen items. Magical pen items are weird. But, it's another 250 gold. Divine Rune is now a magical pen item, which I think is very good. It costs 2,400 gold, 80 magical power, so it gets some extra power. I think it's like 15. 15 magical penetration, no more lifesteal, and enemies hit by your abilities have 50% reduced healing and generation for 8 seconds. There is not as much of an excuse anymore to not build lifesteal, to not build healing reduction here, other than the fact that healing is generally a little bit weaker. So, or fair bit weaker actually. So, better place for Divine Rune. It was always awkward with that lifesteal on it, so very, very good change. Spear of Desolation gets a complete overhaul. Now 2,700 gold, 70 power instead of 120, and 10% cooldown reduction with the passive being removed. So it's an item for a lot of flat penetration. Now I'm not quite sure if it's like, if the price still adds up, but it might just do that. Because it's still quite expensive for just flat pen, CDR, and power. But it's definitely not a bad item as such. I like to compare items to Pythagoras' piece and be like, Pythagoras' piece is probably better. Wardstone removed from this tree somewhere else. Voidstone, same thing. And that's the new tree here. Magical power and magical protection. Druidstone costs 700 gold, 20 magical power, and 10 magical protection. So, yeah, that's where we start. Then Stone of Binding is a bridge item, which has... Okay, start with the price. 1,700 gold. Really early item. It has 20 magical power, 30 magical protection, 30 physical protection, 10% cool reduction, and a new passive. Successfully hitting an enemy god with hard crowd control will place a buff on all allies within 70 units of the user. This buff provides 10 penetration for 5 seconds. So it has pen as well, as long as you have some sort of hard CC. This item has everything. It's crazy good. It is probably as bloated as, for example, Ritual Dagger. Only that Ritual Dagger does not have stats that synergize also well, whereas this item just synergizes perfectly. Everything in this item. Power, pen, and CDR is all you want. If you get some protection on top of that for free, why not? And that's on a very cheap item, so this is a crazy good item. This is probably outclassing stuff like Dynasty Platinum and stuff, anything that you would put as a bridge currently, just because it has everything. Sage Stone, just a gap item here for 1,400, 40 magical power, 20 physical protection, magic protection, sorry. Stone of Fel, 2,900 gold, quite expensive, 70 magical power, 40 magical protection, 10% CDR. Again, relatively beneficial stats overall for like a direct trade. And now this is the big deal here, and this is why I think we'll see this a lot. Anytime you would be dealt more than 30% of your max health by a single magical ability, exclamation mark, that damage is instead reduced to deal exactly 30% of your max health. This effect can only occur once every 60 seconds. So if you don't build into health, which is also an option with like the lifesteal stuff and Warlock Sash, but you want to go squishy, then Stone of Fel is your friend against Kukulkan, against Isis, against Scylla, against Thoth, you name it. Everyone who has like a ridiculous amount of burst. And that way you will survive a lot more of their all-in combos. It is only for magical damage, but still massive. Keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily apply for everyone. For example, Ao Kuang's burst is very split between his 3. I don't think Soul Reaver factors into this. I would assume it not. And then there's a dragon on it, which will also deal damage. So, for example, against Ao Kuang, I think this will not work as well. So, just for those huge burst ultimate mages, basically. Voidstone just gets a minor change. Magical protection increased from 60 to 70. But once again, I think the big deal here is Stone of Fall and the Stone of Binding. Those seem very, very strong both. Magical power and physical protection. Celestial Legion Helm gets a change. 60 magical power now, 30 physical protection, 20 MP5, and any god affected by your ability heals gains 20 physical power and magical power for 5 seconds. So it's the opposite of Lotus Crown now, basically. It gives you more power for healing. So it's a very different item overall. Jade Emperor's Crown, 2,150 gold, 20 magical power, 60 physical protection, 100 health. Once again, this is synergy. This is good. Effective health. Enemies within 55 units of you have their physical power reduced by 30. So this is a straight up counter to anything physical coming your way. If you are in a situation as a mage against a hunter and an assassin, then this item is extremely strong. Extremely potent. It doesn't have much power though. It does not have the same power as previous items of this sort would have had. So I would tend to say it's still more something that would work better for supports than it would for most mid laners. But it can be used on both in theory. Magical power and mana regen tree. Once again, price adjustments here. Restored artifact gets a price drop, which I think was very needed. It was always at an awkwardly high price. Gets MP5 increased by quite a lot, so it's a bit like a lot more of a bridge item, a lot more helpful. Chronos pendant, an item that was not seen all too much and usually seen a lot by people who did not understand that there are just mostly more valuable choices at the moment. Gets a return and it's coming in strong. It's price increased by 500. Magical power decreased by 15. So what the hell's going on? Why is that a thing? Because it has a new passive. Every 10 seconds, the pendant activates, subtracting 1 second from all abilities currently on cooldown. Meaning your ultimate is off cooldown quicker. If you are lucky and you get good timings with Haba, you tie that with the new Relic that reduces cooldowns. You can just basically use your one, have like a 2 second cooldown on the one, use the one again, use the Relic, use the one again. You can use 3 once in a row. Spleesh, spleesh, spleesh. That's what Chronos Pendant helps you with. So it's going to be very amazing for certain mages, especially low cooldown mages, as they say here. If you are lucky and you can utilize the reduction. I don't know how you see the timing, but if you it helps with figuring that out. And also, it's basically a reverse Genji's God, only that it procs a lot more often, and it's more conditional in terms of you have to time it right. Raptor Hoodie, 20 price decrease. MP5 increased to nearly double. I don't know if that was needed, but hey, everyone's building Raptor Hoodie anyways. Magical Power Military Soul Link gets a price increase and a magical power decrease, just to, bit in line with everything else. Soul Trap slightly increased cost by 10, just, even prices out. Soul Reaver by 10, also evening that out. And that brings us to Uncommon Sash. Also just getting like some price adjustments. Power decrease by 5, 75 health instead of 100. Fortified Scepter is now a thing which is magical power, a bit of health, 50 magic power, 150 health, and 5% crowd control reduction. So I'm not sure when you would pick that up, but maybe someone like Shang-Chi or something like that could see use of that. Gem of Isolation no longer gives mana. Has a 10% CCR though. In my opinion, that makes the item even stronger. You never really need the mana that much, but having the CCR on top of everything you have already just makes this item pretty, pretty good. Ethereal Staff gets some changes. 2,700 gold. I'm actually going to read this out. As Smite develops, our design goals have been more focused. All items that had stat conversion passives have been phased out, and our Ethereal Stuff, the last one Romanium, also will see an update. We feel that unique passives and clear itemization towards specific stats are much healthier for the game than stat conversions. The item finds a new home as a way to maximize damage on low cooldown magical gods, especially against tanky opponents. And then we got 90 power, 200 health, and 20% crowd control reduction. Your abilities deal bonus damage, magical damage to enemies equal to equal to 5% of their max health. This effect can only occur once per god per ability. So I'm not quite sure what it means, like once per god per ability. What if my ability comes on cooldown after? Is it because I hit that god already, it will not proc again? How long does it take until it procs again? Unsure about that, but anyways, if you hit all the abilities, it's at 20% of their max health. So it's basically a segmented Soul Reaver, so to speak, in an interesting way, which I personally, I think, like a lot. I think this is an interesting approach. A bit of a Kinsa Ice Touch there. And we got a few more items that work that way. Are the stats going to be enough for it to be picked up? I don't know. They don't look that promising to me, especially next to Gem of Isolation, I would say. Roll of Healing. The healing aura is decreased. Decreased the aura of increased healing from 10% to 5%, so only 5% increase. But it has a new aura. If you're in combat, you provide 10% additional healing to allies within 70 units, meaning they want in combat healing instead of out of combat healing. So you have to be in combat to heal more. Even if it's just with minions, this will help in that regard as well. Word of Asclepius, healing bonus reduced from 25% to 10%. And once again, now here we got 20% additional healing while in combat. So this is being pushed. And so overall the healing actually is increased, but only as long as you're in combat. And then we have the attack speed tree. Rings, just getting some price adjustments, and attack speed increases here actually. Demonic Grip gets a slight nerf by 5% attack speed. And Telekine's Ring gets a major change. So Telekine's Grip, a lot more expensive, 2,800 gold. Increased magical power from 45 to 80. And keep in mind that the gap is different here because Enchanted Ring is more expensive now. So a lot more power on this item. Decreased attack speed from 30% to 20%. Remove the old passive completely. New passive. Successfully hitting enemies or structures with basic attacks gives you a buff of 10 magical power. This buff stacks up to 5 times and lasts 5 seconds. Keep hitting things and you will deal a lot of damage with everything. Because this is like up to 130 power on this item. And I think the one who benefits from this the most is Sol, because she like benefits from hitting things constantly anyways with her passive and everything, just keeping that up, keeping that going, keeping the hits going, and I think this will really work with Telekines. I am not entirely sure if the passive refreshes, but I'm pretty sure it would. I think it would at least. Shaman's Ring is another one. 40 magical power, 30% attack speed. This is the one with the highest attack speed now in regards to the rings. Each basic attack that hits an enemy god heals you for 3% of your maximum health and mana per hit. This is an odd item. We got a similar thing for hunters later on. 3% is like maybe like I did like some calcs. I think it's like around 45 health per hit, but it's only on gods. It's not like minion lifesteal, so it is only for direct trading, and a lot of lifesteal benefits come down to healing in a wave. So really, I am not sure how much this will do. At the same time, what will this do for characters that have a lot of health, just build this very late? But then again, how many attack swings are they going to use, and how much will it do for them? So blah, blah, blah. Really too early to say, something that needs to be tested out. I feel like it's not going to be as crazy as it sounds. We'll see. Physical lifesteal items. Bound Gauntlet gets 10% crowd control reduction and no more attack speed and added mana, 75. Soul Eater, very big changes here as well. 2,200 gold. Remove the attack speed, which I think is awkward. Like it has 20% crowd control reduction now, but no attack speed. Like on a it's not a hunter item anymore. I think because of that kind of 200 mana and hitting an enemy god with a basic attack hits you for 3% of your maximum XP per hit. Sounds familiar? We just had that. Because like the difference here is that there's 30% attack speed on the Shaman's Ring. Soul Eater no longer has attack speed, but it benefits from basic attacks. So, question mark? Thought was maybe implement this into a Kins build, because then the heal is actually quite strong even for hunters. Because like it's not dependent on anything. But once again, it does not proc on minions. It only procs on gods. And you don't have attack speed on the item, and that is kind of weird. So I don't know if it's gonna do enough. I think it still keeps its own lifesteal as well, but I'm not 100% sure. And depending on that, I will rethink this item. Really too early to say who can make use of this. Maybe like something like Bologna or something. We will see. Removing the attack speed, which is weird. Mace gets a price decrease. Warrior's Bane gets a slight price increase. Titan's Bane gets a decent price increase, 2,300 actually. Not quite sure if that was needed. Same thing as with the Opsy. I think they don't like percentage pen being built too much anymore, I guess. Something like that. Brawler's Beatstick gets a price reduction from 2,400 to 2,200. Penetration reduced from 20 to 15. Healing reduction increased from 40 to 50. So more focused on the healing reduction, not so much on being that strong early. 50 flat pen is still more than enough, especially with the price reduced. So it's still a very good item. Nothing really changes here. You might just pick it up more. The Crusher costs more now, 2,300 gold, more than Brawlers. 30 physical power, 15% attack speed, 15 physical penetration, same as the Brawlers. Successfully hitting an enemy guard with a basic attack will subtract 1 second from all your abilities currently on cooldown. This effect can only occur once every 5 seconds. Now this is an interesting item. No longer being a structure thing, but a very, very interesting thing for those guards who make good use of cooldown reduction as well as ability damage. Namely a Willish. This is my first thought with these kinds of things. Attack speed and power and pen and cooldown reduction. Let's go. It can only occur once every 5 seconds, but that's not that bad, you know what I'm saying? So I really will try this out more. I think this set has a lot more value than it used to. It will mean that if you look into counter healing, you have to specifically pick up Brawlers, and you will see Crusher a lot more overall. Then we have the shield section here. Once again, price adjustments dropping quite a bit in price, decreasing the physical power along with it. 650 and then 10 power. Spike Shield gets a 10%, 10 gold round down. Shield of Regrowth is now something else, somewhere else. Gladiator's Shield gets introduced. 1,700 gold, 25 physical power, 40 physical protections, 10% CER. Anytime you hit an enemy guard with an ability, you are healed for 2% of your maximum health and mana. Cheap item, maybe something to bully someone in solo if you're looking for aggressive build. Once again, a bit awkward. Like, total healing here is 8. Total mana here is 8%. Don't see that as that strong, especially when, once again, it's only on guards. You have to be very aggressive for that to function fully, but maybe wrong here. Maybe this will just work somehow, and I have just not figured out. If slap fights in solo are a thing at all times, then maybe it works that way. We'll see. Physical power, magic protection. Buckler gets a price adjustment. Runic Shield gets some extra power, 35 instead of 25. Removed attack speed aura, attack speed reduction from the aura. Keeps the power reduction. I thought it was actually more. It may just be something cut out here, but oh well. And Seele, internal cooldown reduced from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. Well done. Good choice. Now, this has a lot more efficiency to counter certain guards, because it's actually up when you need it. And displays a persistent visual FX on the owner when off cooldown. Not when on cooldown, when off cooldown. Morningstar price fix up from 650 to 550. Cutchel price fix up from 750 to 650. Gets 5 physical power. Runeforged Hammer gets its millionth passive change. 40 power now. Enemies take 10% bonus damage from you, only you, if they are affected by any form of crowd control. So any form of crowd control now, but only you. So I don't really see where you should really use this. Maybe like some late game pickup for bursty assassins with hot CC or something. I don't really know. I think just being for yourself, it loses value somehow. But may just be someone who may be able to figure that out better. Or I have to go into deep into the calculations. So far, it doesn't seem all too overwhelming compared to like pen items and stuff like that. Shillalaw, just bridge gap. Sorry for butchering the pronunciation there. 10 physical power, 1,500 gold, 10 physical power, 10 magic, 100 health, and 100 mana. I'm sorry, this is hard. Blackthorn Hammer, though. 2,300 gold, 30 physical power, 200 health, 200 mana. If you are reduced below 30% HP, all your cooldowns are reduced by 3 seconds, and all of your abilities cost 0 mana to cast for the next 5 seconds. This effect can only be activated once every 60 seconds. Sounds familiar? Mantle of Discord. Get this and Mantle of Discord together. The stats synergize very well with the health and mana, and the other one having the protections. and this being like the cheaper version, like what you get first, you are gonna be able to CC everyone around you, BCC immune, you get your cooldowns reduced by 3 seconds, but will often be enough to get away, and your abilities cost 0 mana, so peace out. You gone. Really good for aggressive plays on certain gods as well, like think like ability-based solo laners, Tour Hercules, stuff like that. Really strong item. Light Blade, price fix 600 instead of 700. RC 1750, 30 just a price fix here. Short Bow 650, a little bit of a price increase, it was always a bit cheap. Hunter's Bow, build of Short Bow gives some extra attack speed, 25%. So bridge item, Silver Branch Bow. 1700 gold, bales of Hunter's Bow, 10 physical penetration, 30% attack speed. Does the same thing as Archival, only for magicals. Every successful basic attack increases your physical power by 10 and reduces your target's magical power from items by 10 for 3 seconds. Yes, you can build both together as well if you want to. If you want a lot of attack speed, a lot of pen, and a lot of power steal. But then it will only work against half your targets. Physical power and movement speed. Katana gets a price reduction by 100. Masamune is... everything here is now physical melee only. No longer... Not even Uller. No longer Hunter using these. They can't even buy these items. Masamune is now 2,500 gold, 50 physical power, 100 health, 10% movement speed. For each enemy god within 55 units of you, you gain a stacking buff that provides 5 magical protection and 5 physical protection stacks up to 5 times. No longer an ability thingy against tanks, rather quite the opposite, making you a little tankier. Don't really see the value in this item yet. More of a warrior item than it was in like previous like assassin hunter item, whatever. But then again, what do warriors do with 50 physical power, 100 health, and 10% movement speed? Like, it's a little too little of everything, I feel. But maybe in combination with the new movement speed starter or something, just trying to get this instead of boost, but then it's too expensive as well. So I don't really know. Well, you know, we'll find out. Maybe someone finds a niche for it. It's a bit odd because you have to have the enemies around you for it to fully function. At the same time, it doesn't really seem like a fully late game item. So hey, what is this? Heartseeker though, quite different here. Increased cost from 1,800 to 2,100. 10 physical penetration. So we have power, penetration, movement speed. Good combination of stats for assassins. Remove the old passive instead. New passive. Every successful basic attack gives you 1 stack of focus. At 5 stacks of focus, your next ability consumes the stacks and deals bonus damage equal to 100% of your physical power to the first enemy god hit. Once again, very strong on certain assassins that can make use of basic attacks and abilities. Thinking of Willis here, but basically every assassin can make use of this to some extent if they stack up with basics somewhere else and then use ability. Very, very strong. I think we will see this a lot more. The only thing it doesn't have is cool reduction, really. Crit items get like some price adjustments. Hidden Dagger is now 700 gold. Rage is really freaking weird. 2,600 gold now. Remove the old passive instead. New passive. Earning a kill or assist fills you with rage, increasing your critical strike chance by 20%. The buff can stack up to 3 times in the last 5 seconds. A, you need a kill for this to be effective first. B, you need to have the next kill within 5 seconds or next assist. You have to snowball really hard for this to be effective. I don't think anyone's going to buy this. Rip Rage. Attack speed and critical chance. Shuriken, a price reduction quite heavily down to 650. Minus 5 power down to 10 power. And 5% attack speed. So actually a lot stronger overall. Because it's cheaper and has like similar stats. 8-point Shuriken gets 10% extra attack speed. Wind Demon gets extra 10% attack speed. And Poison Star gets extra 15% attack speed. So I think this tree on the other hand is just straight up buffed and makes this a lot stronger. So why would I pick Rage when these are just better with no difference? I thought they had some differences in terms of this, like the passive and stuff as well. I feel like there's something missing here. Not entirely sure though. Oh well. If it's not there, it's not there. What can I do? Ancient Blade, 550 instead of 580. Ritual Dagger. Previously known as Ritual Dagger. Great name change there. And it's actually another name. I forgot the name because Ritual is now its own thing in the game. So it has a different name. Remove the old passive. New passive. Gain 20% cooldown reduction on your relics. We already have lower cooldown on certain relics. You can lower it even more now. You can have like what? Let me think. So roughly like a nearly 70-second cooldown on Blink if you add this all up. So that's going to be interesting. I might some people might pick this up a little more. Hasten Fatalis. Added 10 penetration. Decreased the attack speed from 30% to 20%. This is interesting. It is now a more beneficial effect. It still has attack speed, like a more beneficial item because it has pen, like a better early pickup. It still has the attack speed, it still maintains the haste and fatalis effect. I could see this being picked up more simply due to the fact that it has more than attack speed now. 10 threat penetration is not the world, but it's a nice stat, and it's nice. It's something that you can nicely use early on. And I think we might just see haste and fatalis being more valued across more hunter builds. You will still not be able to trade someone like someone who has Ikaival straight up in terms of the stats of the item. But if you can utilize the passive well, and you're gonna rock it across the map, then you could maybe make use of this. And this is also working for magicals. Keep that in mind. This is a Freya buff, basically. This is a Freya buff. Why is Freya getting buffed? Because this is not physical penetration, this is penetration, which is a universal stat now. Cursed Blade. Removed physical protection. Add 100 health. Increased attack speed from 10% to 15%. Added 5% movement speed. I'm actually going to go down to Witchblade because I think that makes more sense. 200 health. 10% movement speed. It's back. Season 1 Witchblade, if anyone remembers. 10% movement speed. Removed physical power reduction. New passive. Enemies hit by your basic attacks are cursed, receiving 15% reduced healing, stacking up to 3 times and lasting 5 seconds. So this is now an anti-heal item. Witchblade is now an anti-heal item. What? But the odd thing is that Cursed Blade has an attack speed reduction, which I don't understand. One of these must be wrong here, because you're not gonna go from attack speed reduction to a sudden healing reduction, unless the attack speed reduction stays on there as well, and just the power reduction is gone, but the attack speed reduction is still there or something. It's really strange, because if this is the new passive, that implies that the old passive is gone. What I think is the case is that it has 2 passives, one being the healing reduction, the other one being the attack speed reduction, which is a weird combination, which I guess is there to counter ADCs and their healing. So it's really odd. I guess we just go with it having 2 passives for now, and being a very strong item in general due to the fact that it also has movement speed, and it's more universal with health, so you can use it to counter Freya as well, I guess. So that would be nice. Health tree, once again, price fix up 650 instead of 700, and Cloak gets a slight fix up, minus 15, and Spirit Drop gets an increase to 2,500. Magi's Cloak, 1,150. So it's a little cheaper. Magi's Blessing also being 100 gold cheaper, more accessible, which is good. Almond Cloak, just a little price fix up, 35 gold. And Hide of the Urchin being 50 gold cheaper. Physical protection and health. Iron Mail gets some price adjustments as well, 75 in terms of price drop. 25 health less, 10 physical protections less. Physical protection and mana breastplate down to 500 gold. Silver Breastplate gets a 10 MP5, and Breastplate of Valor loses another 10 protections, but gets a 10 MP5. So maybe spam your abilities a little more with that. But I feel like it's losing value, especially with the new items coming in. Like we saw that 1,700 gold item, which is just crazy compared to this. I don't see. Like, we'd have less physical defense in certain items like Witchblade, and Nemean Lion gets the same treatment, like minus 10 physical defense, but we'll see if they maintain the same value. Hide of the Nemean Lion, though, has 20 MP5 now, so it's going to allow you to use your abilities quite a lot more. And the Reflect is increased from 20% to 25%, so overall, I think Nemean Lion is going to be a lot better, and those guards who can make use of it may use it more often than BOV, maybe even simply because it has more protection, more MP5 to spam your abilities and clear, and it has a better Reflect now. Spectral Armor gets the same 10 reduction, gets 10 MP5 once again, gets CCR reduction down to 20%. And the new passive is anytime you receive physical damage from a god, enemies within 30 units of you become feared for 1 second. This effect cannot happen more than once every 60 seconds. Now, it was said to be the reverse Ancile, but it's not, because Ancile has the issue that you can proc it from ranges where you're not going to be affected by it. And this is the case for Spectral Armor as well, but a lot more physical guards need to get a lot closer to you. The majority of them, actually, unless the Hunter gets you from a further range. And Fear is a stronger effect because it pushes the enemy away from you. If you're just silenced, like disrupted or something like that, that's usually not a problem for a mage to the same extent as a Fear is for a melee. Disarm would be like the appropriate thing here, but it's supposed to counter abilities as well, so you're fearing them, which gives you a lot of time to escape, a lot of potential in this item, very strong effect. Don't underrate this. Also something that I could see being picked up more, though it's not quite like a second or like first defensive slot, more of a later stage item, but very, very strong as such. It can be annoying though if you don't want enemies to run away. Magical and Protections Health, we got into Talisman. Price fix ups, minus 75, minus 25 health, and minus 10 protections. Silver Talisman gets a 25% gold increase, and price increase, and Bulwark of Hope same. Talisman of the Relentless, 2,250 gold, 50 magical protection, 200 health, and 20% crowd control reduction. Every time you're hit by a crowd control ability from an enemy guard, you become more relentless, gaining stacks. If you have 3 stacks, the next hard CC ability you are hit by will make you CC immune for 1 second. This can only occur once every 90 seconds. I think this is a very interesting mechanic, but the fact that it only is possible for like every 90 seconds, or that it's only possible every 90 seconds, is very irritating to me, because you have to eat 3 hard crowd control things before this takes effect, and by that time you're usually dead. And maybe, I don't know, the stacks may remain through death and may help you next time, but I would get Spirit Orb over this. I would probably get Mental of Discord over that, and I would most certainly get Mage's Blessing over this, as long as it stays on a 90-second cooldown. If you have all those and you still need more anti-CC, okay, sure, get this item, but I think at that point you kind of need some other items. It has some power, so it's maybe for some other gods, you know, but it's a weird one. I'm not sure about this one. 90 seconds alone would probably have been enough, like it would have just been another magic with some damage. And that brings us to Enchanted Kusari. Price fix up, 150 gold minus, and minus 10 magic protections. Genji's Guard loses 10 magic protection as well. Generally seeing a lot of items being reduced by protections, in protections by a little bit. Genji's Guard was very strong, so I guess it's fair. Only on the Scarp, new passive. When you deal damage to an enemy guard, if at least 2 other guards are within 55 enemy guards and 55 units of you, you gain 15% magical, 15% damage mitigation for 5 seconds. Can only occur once every 90 seconds. Another one of those awkward passives. I see this working for a Guardian in a team fight. Yes, you get 15% damage mitigation, but you have to have 3 enemies around you, and it can only occur every 90 seconds, and it lasts for 5 seconds, and I don't see why I should not get Spirit Orb instead. Which I feel like is usually going to do more, but because in this way the condition is that you deal damage in order to get damage mitigation, which is already awkward because usually you're taking the damage and then you want the mitigation. So maybe as a secondary item to Spirit Orb against the heavy magical comp, that's the way I would see it, but a bit strange. Shogun Kusari, 2,400 gold, 60 magical protection, 20 MP5, 10% cooldown reduction, 20% crowd control reduction, a massive amount of stats, and an aura. Allies within 70 units of you gain 15% attack speed. An aggressive support item, giving an aggressive stat to a team where it can work. For, like, say, Kali and the Hunter, or it's an attack speed benefiting soul laner like Erling Shen or something like that, can make use of that. Interesting item, I like this one. Not the highest defense stats, but overall good stats with the CDR and CCR as well, I think. It's a more of an aggressive choice here. I'm not quite sure why it had to be tied to magic protection, but that's cool with me. So I think this is good. Son of Gaia. Crazy good. Removes all passive. New passive. If you're hit by a knock-up or knockback, you are instead enveloped envelop, which is funny, by the Earth. Becoming CC immune for 1 second and generate 10% of your maximum health and mana over 5 seconds. Can only occur once every 90 seconds. Yes, also similar to like Magi's Blessing in that regard, only for knockups, knockbacks. But this counters some guards so hard it's not even funny. And I'm looking at you, too. It counters some other guards as well, but I just want to mock Tyr. Because, you know, I love Tyr. Very strong counter against certain guards that rely heavily on their CC. Even it works even like against guards with heavy bursts and CC like Poseidon and stuff like that. So really good. Really good. Though I'm not quite sure what happens with the stun. But I would say, yeah, if it's a knockup and a stun, then you're CC immune, so it will work. Very, very strong. I could see this passive very easily being nerfed again, especially when we have another relic that gives you CC immunity as well. Shield of Regrowth. Remove the physical protection, remove the physical power. It's now there for everyone. 400 health instead, which is quite a lot. CDR from 10% to 20%. 10 HP5, 10 MP5. And increased passive movement speed buff from 35% to 40%. So this is something that can now be picked up on gods of all sorts. It can be picked up on Sylvanos as well, which could actually help him quite a lot. It can be picked up on Terra as well. And it has 20% CDR, which is kind of hard to come by. In many items, and 400 health, which is a massive amount. So I think this is completely overhauled, and my video is already redundant, but it will still be helpful for other guards now. Gauntlet of Thebes. Remove the old aura. This item now has a magical and physical protection aura for units within for allies within 70 units. And it's 20 each. So this is Sov's and Hardwood's protection in one item. And you can buy this along with Sov and Hardwood. So you can give 40 physical or magical protection to your friend if you build it right. And it still has health, so it still synergizes in itself. And that is pretty damn crazy. And if you think about it, pen items, percentage pen items are nerfed. And you can give a bunch of pen to your friends. And that's going to be crazy. That's just going to be really crazy. That's that item. I think this is going to see a nerf, I'm pretty sure. Because that's just a bit too much. Aphrodite. God changes. Aphrodite gets some extra base health and some magical power scaling on back off. Some more damage, some more health. Excuse me. Not going to change it all too much. She is one of the few that can still out of combat heal as well as she can in combat heal. Basically. And that's why she's gonna get pushed up, whereas other healers are just gonna drop down. But the item change is still a factor. Don't know if it does too much for her with all the anti-heal we have now and stuff as well. Apollo gets the nerf that he once had removed with the reduced damage from So Beautiful from minions behind the first one. Across the Sky, however, gets a cooldown increase to 110 at all ranks, and you don't get a build CR on him most of the time. So that is a nerf overall, I would say, but it gives him a bit of clear. Bakasura gets a buff. So, Regurgitate ultimate, increased slow from between 15 to 35% to 20 to 40%. It was not maxed that often before. I think there's even less of a point in maxing it now. If it starts at 20%, I'm saying. Change slow duration to be 4 seconds instead of applying only in the area. So you puke on your enemy, and they get slowed regardless if they're in the area or outside of it already. That is strong. That gives them a lot more potential with the ultimate. Increased cone attack duration from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Nice bonus. What I think he's lacking is still some kind of non-minion focus too. Some effect there. Because he has these points in the game where it just doesn't work too well, like early game. But with meta shifts, we might just see him come back. Maybe with that movement speed item solo or something. Who knows, the movement speed starter. That could work for him. He certainly has a lot more early aggression with the ultimate now. So that works in his favor too. We will see more of Baka. And I know that a lot of you are not happy, but I'm happy. Chang'e. Jade Rapid. Increased speed to run from base to like basically double of what it was. Roughly. A little more than that. Decreased trip time from like 44 seconds to roughly 34 seconds with boots in mid lane. So he's getting around a lot faster, getting your items faster. It's nice. Moolet Waltz. Decreased setup time from 0.1 seconds to 0 seconds. So you damage him right away. Which I think is pretty scary. And Moonflower Dance. Wait, is this correct? Am I thinking of the right ability? This may actually be the... I think this is damage immunity. If I'm wrong here, I'm very sorry. I haven't played Chang'e in a long time. Moonflower Dance decreased magical power scaling for the heal from 40 to 30%. Increased magical power scaling on damage from 30 to 50%. So Chang'e is going a little more in the damage direction and a little less in the healing direction, which I think is odd, but we'll see where it puts her. Chronos, 5 more base movement speed. Accelerate no longer has a haste and fatalis effect, no longer basic attack movement penalty. Cooldown decreased by 2 seconds. That's a nerf, and that's a solid nerf. Keep in mind that, once again, haste and fatalis is now different, so it may just work better in builds as well. But that is a solid nerf to Chronos, which he maybe needed after his performance at the Smite World Championship. But I think a lot of people are not going to be happy about it. But this goes in line with all the other haste and fatalis nerfs that we're going to see. Early exchange pin no longer cripples. Hell, it's about time. All I got to say about this. Good nerf. Good nerf. He keeps his haste and fatalis on. Freya. Valkyrie's discretion starts at 100 base damage instead of 120 now. Scales up to 240 still. That is the Freya nerf. And if there's one change in these patch notes, aside of some items being really too strong, this is the one where I'm like, why? There are plenty new items that work well for Freya. There are plenty buffed items, fatalis and stuff, and Freya gets that, which is not even like, get out. All right, whatever. Guan Yu. Guan Yu gets a lot of changes. Is another healer seeing a shift. So base healing on conviction down to 50 to 150 instead of 65 to 185, and that's quite a fair bit. Boosted healing is also lowered down to like 100 from 130 to 300 from 370. So overall, a lot less healing from Guan Yu. That is, well, you can take it out, really, how you want, but well, his healing is nerfed. Instead, they're decreasing the mana cost of Warrior's Will by a little bit. And they're nerfing the slow. And they're nerfing the boosted slow as well. But they're buffing the Khepri Charge. Khepri Charge gets a damage buff, and that's quite a significant one, because it definitely increases the base damage here per swing up to 205 instead of 175. So Guan Yu getting more of a damage focus, similar to Chang'e. So healers generally being a little bit out there doing the damages. Hel gets a complete overhaul. I'll just run this on really quick. Base health 380. Dark Stance now passes through targets and detonates at the end or at a wall, so you can clear with that and still try to poke the enemy at the same time. Light Stance only heals allies and doesn't damage enemies, so you heal an ally with your Light Stance, and then you get the heal as well. If there's no ally around, no healing for you, so you only have to heal. That is putting her more into dual lane as a healer. CC immunity increased from 1.25 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Repulse, Inspire, the heal is now a heal over time. Heals every 1 second for 6 second duration. And the heal is now 25 per tick, plus 5% scaling for 1 second. Yeah, for 6 seconds each 1 second. So no longer burst heal, making it, well, you have to be a lot more cautious. More like a Sylvanas heal. Switch stances and now gives MP5 in both stages, and instead starts at 5 instead of 15, goes up to 25 instead of 35, so the first ranks are really low now. Light Stance now provides additional magical and physical protections starting from 5 up to 25. So she's like a bit more tanky. She's got the sustain heal, and she's got the ally heal, and she's got that ranged poke bully potential. Overall, I don't think she's in a much better spot than she used to before, especially with the new anti-heal items and the nerfed heal items. Maybe someone will figure out to play in duo, and if that's the case, then maybe we'll see her work as a support. Needs a team to build around you, though, but it's odd. Hercules, new passive, Strength and Pain. Every time Hercules takes damage from gods, he gets 5 physical power plus 1 multiplied by your level, stacking up to 3 pints and lasting up to 5 seconds. Very different from before. I think a little more fair, honestly. Mana decreased on Earthbreaker, and Mitigate Wounds is changed majorly. Now he gets an initial heal instantly, like 75 up to 175, and then he gets a bonus heal over time for the next 5 seconds, 75 up to 175, so same amount as a heal over 5 seconds. And he also gets protections, magical and physical, starting with 10, going up to 50. Cooldown decreased by 2 seconds down to 15, and mana cost 60 at all ranks. This means if Herc uses his heal, you can burst him like before, but he will have protection, so your burst will do less damage. But you don't have to worry about like not attacking him at all, basically, because he's healing and he's gonna heal up after or some stuff like that. It's just functioning a different way. Don't think it's gonna break him. Don't think it's gonna put him in a very different place. Again, there are a lot of anti-heal items now. Humbats gets a nerf on his slow and a buff on his damage. Over and Smash, 10% extra scaling. Somersault, 10% less slow. Still a very strong slow, still fair, I think. You're not too often using the Somersault to slow because it's a risky one. But yeah, I'm fine with this. This is good. Jing Wei gets major nerfs. She gets less health scaling per level, 6 less per level. She gets less base movement speed, 5 less base movement speed. She has 1 second less on her passive, so she flies a little less. Agility no longer provides immunity to basic attack movement penalty, so no longer a haste fatality effect, and decrease the mana cost in return. I think this is hitting her quite hard. I think this puts her a lot more in line with mid-tier ADCs, if not maybe even lower. We'll see. She used to perform too well, so I see where the nerfs are coming from. We'll see how she performs now. I would have liked to see this the passive being changed and just overhauling a kid a little bit, not so focused on that passive, give that a cooldown, remove the crit and give her some extra damage, but hey, that's just me. Khepri, Solar Flare, base damage increased from 40 to 50 and 200 to 250, so more damage on the Solar Flare. Scarab's Blessing gets a cooldown increase in return, so a little more damage for Khepri, little less ults for Khepri. Given the fact that he revolves around his ult, this is hitting him decently, I would say. But yeah, that's just what it is. Medusa gets buffs, but in the wrong place, in my opinion. Lacerate gets up to 40 extra damage on the highest rank, same starting rank. But you're going to max it last most of the time, so that is just really like base damage late game, that's it. Healing reduction increased from scaling up to 50 from 10% to 50 at all ranks, that's a good change. What I think they should have touched instead is Acid Spray, because Acid Spray is, as far as I know, the lowest scaling line clear of any hunter in Smite currently, and it has the shortest range with 40 because it has that spray at the end, but it means that in boxing scenarios she has an automatic disadvantage because of the shorter range, and I understand why they changed the range thing with the cone, because it was really nasty the way you could put it before, but then just up the damage a little bit again, so she can actually clear the wave without Transcendence, because at the moment, if you're not building Transcendence, almost all of the time you're going to end up almost clearing every minion, but not fully clearing any minions. And that's what I think should really be touched for her, because she is an aggressive ability-based hunter, and you don't want to have to play off minions all the times, because that's not how you want to play hunters. However, Petrify gets a damaged buff. If the enemy is turned away, you deal 75% of the damage instead of 50%, which is decent. Naja gets buffs mostly. Is Universe Ring Toss gets a cooldown increase by 2 seconds, so a little less poke. But Flaming Spear gets a cooldown reduction down to 14 seconds if you level it up, so there's more for point in leveling up if you want to. And a Military Sash starts at 14 seconds cooldown, so you're going to use that a lot more, meaning your all-in engages will be up more often, more early in the game, which I think makes him quite decently strong. I think this is overall a buff still, despite of the nerf on Universe Ring Toss. You still are using it often enough. And having the heal with a lesser cooldown if you want to is very nice. Nika gets a lot of nerfs, I think. 2 victory, bonus power reduced from 8 to 12 to 6 to 10. Rend decreased physical power scaling from 50% to 40% per hit, so up to 120. Sentinel of Zeus decreased physical power scaling from 80% to 70%. She had some nerfs before, she gets some more nerfs, and I think this is justifiable. She's still a good god, and these nerfs are fine with me. I think she will still be strong anyways. She was one of the most banned gods at the Smite World Championship. Noir Clay Soldiers and now basic attack now deal magical damage instead of physical damage. Makes sense. Solar Blessing. Decreased base healing from 20 to 10 up to 50 instead of 60 per tick. Decreased magical power scaling on the healing from 50% to 10% per tick. So quite a bit less on the heal. However, now provides 10 to 30 magical and physical protections to allies inside the ability. Once again, focus is on in-combat healing. You will heal less, and that means out-of-combat healing is less. But in combat, the extra protections that you can provide your team with may actually mean that your overall impact on the fight with the heal is higher. Good change in my opinion, if the goal is to move away from in-combat healing. Ram Rolling Assault is now 11 seconds cooldown at all ranks, so tier 2 of this, which means that, you know, early is actually a little bit better because usually you're not going to max that early. But he doesn't roll away from you laughing all late game, even after ulting and stuff like that. Excuse me, which I think is fair. Good nerf. Surcat, Catalyst, now deals 50% of target's max health on 2 poisons and 25% of target's max health on 3 poisons. I think Surcat just struggles with like a meta where there are many assassins that are like multi-target damage and stuff like that, and she's just so single-target focused. Don't know if she needed more single-target damage, but at the same time, I don't think it's a major problem, especially given that she is not going to benefit as much from quite a few of the changed items. I think she can benefit, for example, from the new Crusher, but others are going to benefit more from anything that has like movement speed, because she doesn't need much of that, or is focused on the basic attacks because she doesn't use them as much and stuff like that. Skadi, 10 extra base movement speed. Rune of the Hunt means Calder gets 10% less damage across all ranks, so it's more Skadi, less Calder, and Permafrost increases her movement speed from 40% instead of to 40% instead of 25%. Overall buffs, she's a lot faster, she's more mobile. Also, maybe because certain builds won't work anymore with the Hunters not being able to pick up as many movement speed items. But Calder sees some nerfs. Sol, the Separate no longer provides a basic attack movement penalty, so no longer has Fatalis for her. Increased movement speed buff from 20% to 30% to 20% to 40%. So you're ranking this up. It's a small late game movement speed. It's not going to make up for it. But then again, you can kind of build haste and Fatalis on her now, like on many others. And there are many other items that are really good for her, like, for example, that new ring. So I don't know how much she's going to care. But yeah, overall, it's a nerf. And I see this. She and Chronos were performing very well in recent games. So I see this nerf being justifiable. Question is, why did Freya not get nerfed with them? Sun Wukong gets some buffs. Undefeated Body increased health threshold to 40% instead of 35%. No longer against the critical strike chance. She is no longer a meme critter. Instead, he now gets 10 physical power plus 2 physical power per level, which can be a fair amount, I would say. He still gets his defenses, so it's better. He's gonna hit you harder when he's low. Somersault Cloud increased damage from 140 to 340 to 200 to 400, simply just matching him a little more with other gods. Ultimates and the warriors' ultimates in terms of damage. So he's more of a bully. He's a little more of a bully even. Or more dangerous. Susano Wind Siphon, physical damage scaling from 25% to 60%. So 35% increase, but to be fair, Wind Siphon did not do jack before. Jetstream changed the ability description. There was just a glitch with the description, so he doesn't actually have less damage. He just has extra damage numbers now. It goes up to 60 and not 80. Changed the physical damage scaling to correctly match the ability description from 35% to 30% per tick. So 140% instead of 120 total scaling. I guess 120 instead of 140, but well, yeah. No nerfs here, just adjustments of values that were not shown correctly. Typhoon now deals bonus damage the longer it charges, in addition to the base damage, maxing out at 100 damage at all ranks. So what's important here is that Siphon is going to do a little more late game, but Typhoon is going to do a lot more early game. If you are able to charge it up a little bit, 100 base damage early on is quite a lot. And just hammering that in before the enemy expects it, it's going to be very good. So there's actually a lot of benefits in charging up the Typhoon now. And as Susanna was underperforming a fair bit, I can understand why this is the case. Sylvanas, Verdant Growth and now applies protection reductions of 5 to up to 25 for 5 seconds on enemy guards. Hit on enemy guards. So even more on its ability. So Vanos is getting really, really aggressive. More damage, more damage, more damage. And now he gets protection reduction. And protection reduction of that value is very strong. This is going to be Lane Bully 3000 early on. And Wisps decrease base healing from 25 to 45 to 15 to 35, which is still a fair bit though, per tick. It decreased magical power scaling on healing from 15 to 10% per tick. So once again, healing decreased, but he did some more damage in return. We'll see how he performs now with more anti-heal items and strong anti-heal items. Terra is also being changed. Force of Nature gets some more damage from 62 and 20 to 60 to 260. Then again, when are you actually going to max Force of Nature? I usually max that last, and that's just going to be a little bit of late game base damage, which doesn't really matter for Guardian, so hey. Monolith base healing from 5 to 25 to 3 to 15. Also a major nerf to her healing, once again. And Terra's Blessing from 100 to 500 down to 100 to 300. So once again, healing nerfed. What's new? I don't think she needed that many healing nerfs, especially on the ultimate. I think the ultimate was actually fine, but we'll see. I feel like healers are in a relatively bad spot, but they were performing very well beforehand, so I guess it's a given. Thoth. Evade and Punish. No longer slows enemies hit by it. No stuns enemies for 1 second in all ranks. No conditions for that. That's crazy. I don't know why that ability needed more buffs, but hey. Glyph of Pain. Increased ally basic attack bonus damage from 5 to 25 to 10 to 30. Increased ally basic attack bonus damage scaling from 5% to 10%. Okay, do we need that? Does he need buffs damage? But the nerf comes down to Final Judgment. Decreased base damage from up to 680 to up to 640. Decreased damage scaling from 140 to 120. Decreased cooldown from increased cooldown from 75 to 90. What I don't like is that he can still face blast you like full frontal with his ultimate when you're in his face and deal ridiculous amounts of damage. But it's gonna be a little less now, which I think is good. I don't know why he needs stun. I don't need the slow was fine. He has enough damage in his kit. Do not need CC. I feel like it was the whole purpose of him to be a high mobility, high range, high damage guard with no CC. Now all of a sudden he needs a CC as well, and I think he was not underperforming enough to warrant that, because there were players that were performing really well with him, namely Nozex, even on Smite World Championship, so he's not bad by any means. But maybe the new items, blah blah blah, especially the one that takes away from your burst, may justify these changes. Not 100% on the boat here, but it's alright with me. And that's it for these patch notes. I did not make it in 1 hour, but I tried to make it as fast as possible through everything, which was a grind. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to cut this short now because, you know, I've said enough. Interesting times to come. Everything changes. There's no bigger picture yet in terms of what this will mean. PTS will show. I will upload a few PTS games as well, so you can get your own ideas. Thank you guys for watching. See you all for the next one tomorrow. Duke's Loth. Out.